Hello, my name is Maggie Rose Cunningham, and I am here to give you a little inside tour of the Hearthspace and the Hearthspace inner circle. For many years, I ran in-person circles. I used to run some in Covent Garden in London. I ran some in Greenwich. I've run some here in Biggleswade, where I now live, which is about 50 miles north of London. And I love that in-person connection, that creation of ceremony, of sacred space. I love a bit of a drumming circle in particular, or the wild movement and the transformation that's possible when people come together and engage in sacred practice. And when COVID hit, it was one of the things that I really, really missed. And so I decided that I would conduct an experiment and I would launch the Hearthspace as it is now, to not to replicate, because we can't replicate the in-person experience, but to create an experience of intimacy, of coming together that isn't like read from a book. Not that books aren't great, but they're not the same. They don't offer that same level of transformation and connection and energetic presence, which is what I was looking for. And the Hearthspace has evolved over time, but that key premise was always in place, that I wanted to create something that was circle, that provided the experience of circle. The Hearthspace as it is now follows the four sort of key tenets that I follow in all of the programs that I create. So I'm looking to create a rich connection with the story and the lore, in this case of the Northern tradition. So some of you will know the Awakening program, which is about the runes. The Hearthspace is broader. So we do have a rune reading circle every month. That's just part of it. So that rich connection with lore and story is very important to me. Then there is the opening of gateways, as I see it. And this is where, for me, the Hearthspace actually provided a realization that the voice, the power of voice, and how important that is for me. I did a lot of work with the drum and the voice as well. But in a lot of my circles were focused around the drum because the drum is fun. And when suddenly that it wasn't so easy to provide that immersive experience with the drum, I started to feel into the voice. And that has become a really important part of my work now. So that's why we have sacred story, the exploration of story. Every month we have a sacred story session, which brings together the lore of the Northern tradition with oracular channeling. So I will channel the story from the speaker, normally from whichever deity or being has said, yes, this is my story, but I'm going to give you a little bit more about it. So we work with the voice, and we also work with the voice through some of our meditation and embodiment sessions. Then the next important piece for me is a sense of, I suppose, what I would think of as, I call it the sovereign pathway. When we are going on a lot of training programs will say, you're going to come here and you're going to come with this outcome, and it's the same for everybody. And that's not the way I work. I work on the basis that our ancestors would have learned through immersive experience, through coming into, around the hearth fire and listening to story and doing readings together and exploring together. And they would have found their own way through that process. So this is another reason why we do rune readings, and why I invite people in for to share. What is it that you have received from this story? What is it that the runes have told you? Because it's about finding your personal pathway into the Northern tradition, rather than saying, I'm going to learn the Northern tradition. This isn't just about, yes, obviously our knowledge, creating that knowledge base is important, but this is about inside. What is it inside? What is it that I'm called to? So we do work around that. And then finally, for me, what really makes the Hearthspace important is the community. And I believe that the wisdom of community is so much more powerful than the wisdom of just one person. So at the end of all of the trainings, all of the circles that we run, there is time for sharing, and we learn from each other through that process. So that's the way in which I teach and which I facilitate, and that you will find within the Hearthspace. So let's go on our tour so you can see how that all works. So this is the Hearthspace Hub. So if you are an inner circle member, this is where you will come, and you can see down the side here, I've got all of my subscriptions down on the menu here with the Hearthspace up at the top. So that's just, you know, all of the different programs that are currently available on Magin Rose that you can see there. But this is the Hearthspace Inner Circle. So this is where you will join. But before we go and look at the hub anymore, I wanted to explain the difference between the Hearthspace Inner Circle and the Hearthspace Facebook group. So here's the Hearthspace Facebook group. Originally, this was a closed group. It was available to all Inner Circle members, but then it became clear to me that there were some people who might want to dip into the Hearthspace Inner Circle every now and then. They weren't going to be there every month. There were some people who were on other programs, and they were like, you know, I'm going to not be in the Hearthspace at the moment because I'm focusing on the program as well, but I'd still like to be part of the community. I started to do Middle Earth readings and to host that within the group as well. So the group is now open to members. As long as they agree to follow by all of our community rules, they can come and they can join. And you will find in this space, Middle Earth Readings is the home of Middle Earth Readings. So every Monday I come there with their, I am with Middle Earth Readings today. How's it today? No, a couple of days ago. So you've got Middle Earth Readings. You can see all the up and coming events. So you've got, as well as Middle Earth Readings, you also have reminders about the Inner Circle classes that are there. So we have our introductory session, which is also available in the main Hearthspace Facebook group, but we then have the Inner Circle group. And that means that people who are in the Hearthspace can say, oh, actually, I really want to participate this month. You can join up for a month and then say, actually, you know, I'm not feeling the call of Hela so much, so I'm going to be doing this for 1 month and then not the rest. A lot of people join for the full, you know, they stay within the Inner Circle and they say, yes, I'm coming every time. But that option is available to you to join up for just one class or for a month of classes. The membership is for a month. So you've got all your events down on that side. Then we have the guides. So the guides are really useful for you to know about as well. So we have our introductions so people can get to know each other. You've got the Meet the Runes, which is again the sort of free resources that are available on Magin Rose. You've got all of the Middle Earth readings there, so you can look back and see what's available there. And then you've got the monthly themes. So these are the themes that are found within the Inner Circle, and I do a video explaining the theme at the beginning of each month, and those are in the Hearthspace. And then we've got our interviews with people either in the community or who are external, but they've come in and they're going to talk to us about, and I've invited them in because I think that what they have to say is going to be value to the community. So there's lots in the Hearthspace group itself, but that is different to the Inner Circle. So for the Inner Circle, you join the Inner Circle and you can choose to join it on a monthly subscription basis, or you can choose to join it for a year if you're like, yes, you know, I really want to get stuck into it, just completing the Wounded Gods at the moment. We've done 12 months of working with the Wounded Gods, so that's an option that's available to you as well. So this is where you land, and then what you have is you've got next events. So you've got your full calendar of events are available there, so you can see where everything is coming up, and it also includes the link to our shared Zoom room, which is where all of the Inner Circle action takes place. So you always know where it is that you need to go. I'm not going to scroll down to that bit because then people will see the passcodes for getting into the room. Let me just take you a bit further. So underneath that, we've got some handy articles. We've got a link to the Facebook group there. We've got some articles. It's a lucky dip of articles. I'll show you that in a little bit just at the end so you can see that. And we've got the bit that's the most important, which is our library of circles. So when you are an Inner Circle member, there are 2 methods of participation. You can come normally on a Friday. Our circles are normally held on a Friday, not all the time because I run them year round. So I do have a life and I sometimes take holidays and I have children. So they sometimes have needs as well. But I will try and run them wherever I can on a Friday, about lunchtime, London time. So you can participate in the classes by coming to the Zoom room and joining the class live. But all of the classes, except our Hygge sessions, and I'll come back to that, are recorded so that you can then pick up on those in your own time, if that is what you need to do. If you can't attend in person or you don't want to attend in person, if you're like, actually, I'm an own time person. and that's absolutely fine. So this is what you will find inside the library. Oh, I tell a lie. Hold on, let me just press one button first. I've taken you a bit too deep into the library already, into one of the shelves. So when you go into your library of classes, you will find that we have, these are our 2022 classes. So when 2023 comes, you will see another tab with 2023. So we have the Wounded Gods. It's a year of classes exploring the mysteries of the wounded gods under the patronage of Odin. Introduced the theme, and then we had all, well, I'll go into a bit more detail about this one so you can see what a year of classes looks like. We've got the Wounded Gods. We've got the Hearts of the Aesir. So this was in 2021. Frigg came with her 12 handmaidens, and we did a month of work with each of them, getting to know them, hearing their stories, doing rune readings about the themes that they wanted to offer to us. And then in 2020, when the Hearthspace very first launched, you got a lucky dip of classes before, the Aesir came and said, Maggie, this can be more. This can be more. We can have a whole year of work, on this theme. So you have 2020 lucky dip. You have 2021, the Hearts of the Aesir, 2022, the Wounded Gods, and then 2023, we are going to be working with Edge Walkers and Exiles, which I am very excited about. More to follow on that, but at the moment, let's just focus on what's there already. So if you were to click on our 2022 tab, you will come into our library of classes. So this we started in January 2022 with Thor, and he brought the theme of the Wounded Gods was boundaries and breaking. So there's a little bit about him. I did a special opening gift. So for those of you who have heard of that Hammer of Thor rite, it's a space protection rite for your personal space. That was added as a bonus there so that you could create a beautiful space for you if you wanted to do it for doing any of these classes. You could create that space for yourself, or you could use it just because you wanted to protect your hearth and your home and your stead. Then we have our introductory session, so an introduction to boundaries and breaking, where I talked about the theme. Then we had our reading, and when the classes require, there's some visuals, they will be as a video so that you can see. So if I'm saying, oh, this is what the spread looks like, and I take you through the whole spread. We do this as a group. I talk you through what the spread is for, how we're going to do it. I take you through it. I do an example of how it's going to work, and then I lead you through so that you don't need to have anything apart from your runes. You can have your little rune set, or you can make your runes on paper if you don't have a rune set yet. And I will take you through clearing the bag, selecting the rune, drawing it out, feeling what it might mean. And increasingly now we're doing partner shares afterwards as well, so that you get to say to somebody else, I got this rune, what does it mean? And somebody else gets that for you as well, because our classes are, we always have quite a few people come, so we can do some lovely partner work too. And then some people will share what their readings are, and I'll give advice and guidance on what those might be. So every month we have a rune reading, and it's a different rune reading complementing the theme. And then we have our story session. So the stories are, you can see why this is audio recorded, because basically I open the story, I perform the story, and some people are really interested in this process. So I'm going to go into this a little bit. The stories are received stories. For the Aesir, they largely basically said, you are now going to do a journey, like a shamanic journey, to go and speak to us, and then you're going to perform the story live. I didn't know what was coming, so that was fun. And I would perform the story live for the group, and then we would talk about the story and what was received by the different people. Remembering that sovereign pathway piece that I talked about, what did they receive? How did that come about for you? How did the story land? All of those things, so we can start to unpack what the story meant. And this is, I think, a really important piece, because our ancestors didn't have loads of books. They had storytellers, and every storyteller would be different, and every telling could potentially be different, picking up on what was needed by the group in the moment. So for this second year, the gods, the Wounded Gods, did more frequently offer their story in advance. I still perform it, but I get to write some of it down, because some of them were quite complicated in terms of what they wanted to say and how it was all going to work. But it still changes and adapts for the session. So the session that you will hear is often pieces added in through the course of the session, depending on what people need. So these are living stories that draw on some of the ancient lore and some stuff that is received in the moment. And then we discuss them and we talk about, what might that mean? And then we have our meditation and embodiment session. So these are sessions where I will do maybe a guided meditation with you, or a movement session, or a sound session, or a drumming session. And it's about integrating the energy of that month. So what you can do is, if you're picking up on the Hearthspace Inner Circle membership now, and you're going, wow, there's a lot there, you can have a look through the themes and go, oh, what calls to me? And then you could work through one theme, or you could say, actually, I like rune readings. That's what I want to do. So I'm going to work through the rune readings and just do them. Or I'm just going to listen to the stories. There's different ways that you can interact with the content, which is why I talked about the sovereign pathway. What's right for me? So then we had Wayland. He talked about creation and destruction. You can see the format is the same. He did his, we did our rune reading, the cycle of creation. The story session was the winged wheel. Then we had Mani, the god of the moon. His rune reading was called the moon's shadow. And the story session was the moon's lover, which was a really interesting story from a priestess, let's say, is perhaps how she would probably have self-described, of the moon, of Mani, and the way that she worked with him and received him. Then we had natural law with Frey, with the god Frey. And he talked about a blessing and cursing, actually, was the rune reading that we did for him. And he talked about the curse and the sword. So it's a really interesting month of work there. Tia offered us insights into sacrifice, the difference between the sacred and the sacrifice through the rune reading. And the wolf and the warrior is the story of Tia and Fenris. It's some really interesting insights there. In June, we were looking at Hermod. So Hermod is known as a messenger god, but he came through much more strongly as a god of shamanic practice in this month. Really interesting story. He spoke about the sons of Odin and what it means to be a son of Odin. So yeah, loved working with him. Then we worked with Mimir, who is a god of wisdom. He was beheaded by the Vanir, but he still is able to speak to us. So his rune reading was Wisdom from the Well, and his story was called The Beheaded God. So he was beheaded. Loki came forward for our next sessions, and he was interested in talking to us about shadow. He also talked to us about binding. He is a god of knot making. So he talked about the shadow and working with the shadow as a teacher, but he also talked about binding. And his embodiment session, again, was like entering into the dreaming space. So each embodiment, they're very, very different. The meditation and embodiment sessions really focused in on the theme. Ullin Njord brought us divine partnership. Ull, the husband of, Ull, the lover of Skadi, and Njord, her husband. This idea of divine partnership as seen through their eyes. Loved this story session, the hunter and the fisherman. We worked with Bragi, the god of poetry, on sacred utterance. And the story was channeled through him, was his words. It's called Bragi Speaks. And we did a special class of sacred utterance with your wild voice for this session. So this was a invitation for you to write from that wild sort of oracular voice yourself, and to be supported in doing that. And at the time that I'm recording, we are in Odin's month of ecstatic wisdom. So I've just done his introductory session, and those will come up when they are ready. So that's your library of classes. So you can see there are a number of ways that you can use them. And because we have, this is the Wounded Gods section. You've also got the Heart of the AC Neuro, and then we're coming into 2023 with a whole new offering to experience. The library is invaluable as a resource to you if you want to go deep into the Northern tradition. So the other thing that you have in the inner circle I mentioned is articles. So this is just a handy way for the articles. So there's a lot of blog articles on Magin Rose, because I've been around since 2010. So this brings you all of the different blog articles that you can browse and look through. It gives you the latest from Middle Earth readings, so that you can see what was the latest one, and you can read all about that. And it gives you some ceremony, some ritual ways of working as well, food blessing and drink blessing, that are helpful for you in starting to introduce a Northern tradition practice into your life. So I hope that what I have shared with you gives you an insight into what inner circle membership means and how you can enjoy the inner circle membership either through coming in person to the circles or by listening to the recordings, and if you want to, using the Facebook group as well to share your experiences and to talk about your takeaways from the theme of the month. I hope you have enjoyed this insight. If you want to join the Hearthspace Inner Circle, you can do so from the Facebook group. You can just click on the link to any of the Inner Circle sessions and it will take you to the joining link. Or you can go to the Magin Rose website and you can click on programs and events that you can see here, and you can join the Hearthspace Inner Circle that way.